Obviously, cash is the king. I am not believing this influencer. It is beneficial to me to make those collaboration at least for 1 year. If the creator believes in your product, it will be much easier to sell this product. We used Modash in a very advanced way, actually.
I don't even have to be here, man. I could have just let you run this whole thing yourself. But maybe we can start with that network of ambassadors that you have. You said like 500 plus, how that relationship kind of works, and then like the team structure and stuff as well.
I was hoping to use this opportunity to make this podcast a little bit more like practical and beneficial for other marketeers. So I would like to focus on increasing conversion rate from influencer marketing campaigns and how to do it. And one of the ways to increase this conversion rate is to build long-term cooperations with influencers. And to build this long-term cooperation with influencer, you need to go through different stages. And those stages are from influencer selection through campaign objectives and data-driven influencer marketing at the end. And this is like one whole story. So we could talk a little bit about the selection, a little bit about those campaigns, and a lot about data, how to use the data from the very beginning through those campaigns, and how to convert this data into something very beneficial for most of the brands. Obviously, every single brand is completely different. There's no one way to achieve sales marketing goals. There's no one proper way. Every single campaign, every single brand is a little bit different. And what is more, every single influencer is different. And we'll talk about this a little bit as well.
So what does it mean that you guys have more than 500 ambassadors? Just so we know where we start from here.
My idea of influencer marketing, especially at supplement company, is that we need to show the benefits of the product in the long term. So there is no magic pill that you can take and you're suddenly fit and slim, you know. This is a whole So this is the whole process, right? So my objective in this type of cooperation is to convince ambassadors to publish a lot of content during the whole period of cooperation. And I found out that it is beneficial to me to make those collaboration at least for 1 year, at least 12 months. And every single month we're collecting the data and we're analyzing the data and we're trying to figure out what type of the content is the best for this creator. And after a few months, the creator is beneficial because we're doing huge analysis of his content, her content. We are beneficial because the conversion rate from the campaigns and from this content is much higher, but also the followers are beneficial because they're able to hear the whole story about the product or the service. It doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about health labs care here, but it will be beneficial for all of the brands. So taking under consideration that there is an influencer with 1 million followers and the viewability rate of Instagram stories of this influencer is let's say 7%. He or she is posting one single Instagram stories. How many people will see actually this Instagram stories? This is the first question. The second question is how many people will see and understand this story, which is completely different subject because this influencer is probably submitting a lot of content. So this particular content need to be a little bit better, a little bit more visible. So there's always a question, how actually effective are those Instagram stories publication? And what I believe in is that one influencer should create a story about the thing that he is digging in right now. So it can be any product, any service, but the influencer need to feel it, need to understand why this product or service is actually beneficial for him or herself. And she can repeat the story and create the story, sometimes repeat some of the benefits. It's very good to test the products or the service with the influencer before the campaign, before the selection, to make sure that this creator is happy to promote this product. If the influencer, if the creator believes in your product, believe me, it will be much easier to sell this product or service to all the others.
I love how you got to long-term relationships. Like we hear from people all the time, like, yeah, we're running an ambassador program, but you're one of the very few people who told me that partly, like, such a interesting reason. So the fundamental reason is that in order to get value out of the product, you need to use it for a long period of time. So it makes sense that the influencer kind of takes their audience on this journey of using the product and what it means for them, what is the actual value proposition in the long term to taking your vitamin D or whatever. What's their personal experience, which has all these other impacts on how you structure things, because like you said, you can measure better, you can optimize over time. But also, people are always asking me, what does authenticity mean? How do we balance brand guidelines with other stuff? If you have this long-term relationship with people, the authenticity comes out as well. So when you guys say that you add an ambassador to this pool that you have, you do that, basically you're adding them with the expectation that they're going to be with you for at least a year, and then you guys comp them on a commission basis mostly. Is that fair?
Yes. And the commission-based model in influencer marketing is something, from my perspective, maybe not unique, but this is not a typical influencer marketing approach. Challenge with the revenue share model, the commission-based model, is that as a brand, as a marketer of concrete brand, I am convinced about my product. But the influencer, the creator, he was never during the development process, right? So from the point of view of the creator, should I take responsibility of this product quality? Should I sign my name under this product even I didn't develop this product or service at all? I'm not responsible for the customer service or whatever. Actually, the influencers, very often, I saw that multiple times, that something is wrong at the landing page. There is a small bug or whatever, and followers are writing to the influencers with the complaints. So the influencer is the person who is receiving all of the bad information, and they're like, okay, so I promoted your product, your service, but right now something is not exactly as good as it should be on your side. So please fix it, because I got a lot of not hate, but like negative comments. You need to convince the creator somehow to join this program, to show that your brand is actually the brand that people may be interested in. The data is something that is most helpful. You want to show the influencer the potential income from one-time cooperation, and you can show the income after. Okay, you will do a little bit more, but during the whole time, you got no problems with acquiring new brands to collaborate. You're sticking to one brand, showing your consistency. You're able to tell this story, and you got passive income every single month. Especially that there are different types of affiliate marketing and commission-based models, but there are some options that the clients that you brought to the company are assigned to you as your clients for some period, and you don't have to encourage those clients to make purchases. They do purchases anyway, and you're collecting like small percentage of this income anyway. So there are some tools and ways to encourage the influencers. Obviously, it's much easier whenever you got the history of different influencers, so you can show, okay, this person is posting this much of the content and she's collecting this much money, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I love that you bring that out, actually, because we get that question a lot too, which is, how am I supposed to convince people to do this commission-based model? And the thing you did was empathize with why they should do it and then explain it to them. And that I've been chanting this for the last month, so I appreciate you laying that out.
One more. Can I add one more thing to this process? In our team, we got very different roles. Only half of the team is dedicated to contact influencers, sign the agreements, and conducting the campaigns, and so on and so on. The other half is supporting team to this team actually. So, for example, we got one of the team members is actually a dietitian, and she's supporting the influencers with the diet advices and diet ideas. And this dietitian is giving them a list of the products that this person should take, because in this way, the influencer got much higher probability to feel the actual improvement of life. So,
Right.
so it's, and we got like this dietitian care, and every single influencer in our network can call this person almost any time of the week of the day and ask her some additional questions about the diet. And this is something that actually influencers are very happy about. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe in your product, maybe in your service, there is a way that you can educate your ambassadors and feel them welcome, and to make them feel that
Build trust.
build trust, make them part of your team. Actually, sometimes I think that in our team is not like 7 people, but like 500 people. Like I sometimes I consider those influencers as our partners.
I think we've also had some conversations in the past about how to build relationships, how to like pull up, you know, the medium performers to the top of the batch. Lots of brands, they get so immediately caught up in the idea that it won't scale or that it's not capital efficient or whatever. But really, when you start stacking those long-term relationships on top of each other, that's when it starts to make sense to actually be able to invest in the relationship, which solves all those other problems of like renegotiating and getting people incentivized to publish and so much stuff. So it's so cool to. It must also be fun to be in that kind of a team for your team members to get to, like, you know, the influencers are real people for them who they actually interact with, and it's that's really cool.
Yeah, once a year we are doing an event. We call it Garden Party, and we are renting one space in Warsaw. Doesn't like like a space, and we're inviting our brand ambassadors also to to give them opportunity to meet between themselves, to make them feel that they're the part of
It's a community.
it's like, you know, it's a community. And what is more, some of those influencers, obviously they're following each other, right? And they had never opportunity to meet in real life. Obviously during this event there are some additional cool activities, but option of meeting new people and feeling that this is a community is something very valuable. So the team is big, because I mean,
We have only 7 people.
Yeah,
I think.
7 people. Yeah. So I would say in terms of
Super efficient.
I mean, in terms of influencer marketing, there are multiple huge companies that got like 2 influencer managers and that's it. But we got 7 people, and we are trying to make those ambassadors, and even we call them ambassadors, you know, those small things, we call them ambassadors, not influencers, we call them ambassadors, because we consider influencer, this is in my vocabulary, influencer is someone who is collaborating very rarely with the same company. So it's like ad hoc collaborations. And ambassador to me is someone who got this long-term collaboration. So actually answering your question, brand ambassadors to me are people who are at least 12 months contracts.
Let's nerd out over the nitty gritty then.
Yeah.
So let's go. How do you choose these people? It's a big commitment to give them a year. So let's go to selection.
Yeah. So I would like to divide this conversation into 3 major topics: the selection, campaign objectives, and data-driven influencer marketing based on long-term collaborations. To me, right now, the position of influencer manager, influencer specialist, affiliate specialist nowadays is extremely underestimated, underappreciated, I would say, because to me, the influencer marketing is growing so fast. It gets such a huge tempo of growth, and there's so much money in the game right now that we need to understand that internet and influencers in the internet it's gonna be like like newspapers 50 years ago, like TV 30 years
Billboards.
ago. Yeah, like billboards. So this is a new media. and there's not enough good knowledge about this new medium. A lot of people are doing this based on their assumptions, intuition, which is sometimes good, but this is maybe not optimized, not efficient. So to me, the best influencer specialist, best influencer manager is someone who can combine mathematical, analytical approach with very well developed soft skills. You're meeting so many people that it's statistically impossible to like them all, basically. So you need to be able to hide your personal preferences and be very open-minded, which for a lot of people is a challenge. And obviously, every single influencer is different. You need to have various approaches, basically. But this data-driven mind is also very important. And here we're starting the first topic, which is selection. So whenever I think of the campaign and think of the influencer that I want to collaborate with, the first thing I'm doing is actually I'm looking at the data behind different influencers. So there are different tools, obviously, but one of my favorite is obviously Modash. So I'm collecting a huge load of data about different type of influencers. Obviously, I got some target groups of the clients that I want to reach, and I'm thinking about the influencer as a medium. So I want to have influencer on board, so I can, through this influencer, explain the benefits of the product or service. And first step is I'm looking at the audiences of the creators. I am selecting the influencers based on the insights. In addition, I am asking the influencers for some additional insights from their own social media platforms sometimes I want to confirm some data, and sometimes I want to have a little bit more data about the actual views, so I can calculate the visibility rate, so I can calculate the cost per view or cost per mile or cost per engagement, whatever. I want to be able to create some estimation based on collaboration with influencers. And
so you start from audience demographic data, which you extract from a tool like ours, for example, and then on top of that, to build the whole picture, especially around impressions and stuff that's like locked behind the wall, then you just ask the creator, hey, send me screenshots.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Can I on the first point, what are you looking for exactly? Are you looking for, is there certain criteria, or maybe you'll go that way, maybe you plan to go that way after, but I'm curious, like, are you just looking for people who reach your target audience as predefined? Are you looking for something else?
It's not as easy as it may seem to be, but basically you should create the target groups of your potential clients, make those target groups different between different platforms, which is also a challenge. So there is a different demographic on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. So you need to be on Spotify, you need to be very open-minded, and you need to create a few target groups. And the first step is I'm using insights and audience data to assign those creators to proper target groups. And based on my idea, I created some criteria of that influencer need to meet to go to the second stage. And I got even this like a score table. So if you meet 5 of 10 criteria, you got like 15 points or 16 points. You can have maximum 24 points, and we're thinking about the collaborations starting from 15 points. So if you don't have 15 out of 24 points in our internal scoring, probably you will not collaborate on us. And we're doing this because we're thinking about the scale. So we can, maybe there is a good influencer who's not meeting the criteria at the moment, but the time that we would consume to find this particular influencer is much higher. We can use this time to scale the business going with this approach. So this first part is a data-driven selection based on audience and insights. And after this scoring, we got the second step, human moderation. So we're deciding if the influencer feels the company DNA, let's say. Some marketers may be interested if the creators are talkative people or not. Because there are some creators who, love to post their artwork and they're not talking too much. And for some marketers, that may be an issue. I want you to tell about the benefits, right? So this may be a challenge. And sometimes you got a perfect creator, but you know that he won't be a good match because because he needs to explain something on the videos and he's never saying anything, right? Obviously, we're checking if there are no bad content, cigarettes, alcohol, and so on and so forth.
What else are you guys looking for in particular, though? So you mentioned speaking on camera. That makes perfect sense to me. Whether or not the content is on brand. Is there other funny little interesting things that you guys look for? For example, Tourlane. We did an episode with Tourlane, a travel experiences company, and she talked about how they have an enthusiasm score. So they interview the influencer, and the more excited they are, then that contributes to their scorecard, which is kind of cool.
Actually, we also measure the enthusiasm, so this is pretty funny, but we're using this enthusiasm in completely different analysis. And this is, I will explain this subject at the end in the third part, but I also agree with this enthusiasm thing. Maybe this is not a straight answer, but for example, we like to cooperate with people who are activists, for example, because in our niche, in our industry, they're pushing some boundaries of healthy living. Okay, to me, it may looks weird that this person is not using plastic or whatever. You know what I mean. It's very, very at the
they
edge.
have some behavior that's different than us.
Yeah.
Strong beliefs.
Yeah, exactly. And my observation is that those people got a lot of followers who maybe are not as brave as those influencers and don't have this courage to express themselves, but they are secretly agree with this influencer. So they're happy to hear from this influencer and sometimes to take some opinions of this influencer and present those opinions as themselves, as their opinions, right? So I believe that, for example, those strong personas are very valuable in terms of cooperation.
People who aren't afraid to voice a specific opinion on a topic that other people might not be willing to do, which is that's a really cool one, because if you think about the audience looks to that person to kind of be their voice, maybe in the way that one day long ago we thought politicians would do. Now it's creators online. And so when that person speaks up and says, hey, this product is genuinely helping me over the course of a year, then you build so much trust with that audience. That's really cool.
I can see this on myself, actually. So I love to eat meat. But right now I'm following a lot of creators who are vegetarians, vegans. By watching them, I reduced the amount of meat that I'm eating right now. So you see, maybe I am not a vegetarian and maybe I don't agree with vegetarians, whatever, it doesn't matter. But this person who is at this edge got this influence that I am eating less meat and I'm feeling better. So that's awesome. And I would never create an account as a follower. Maybe I will, but I do not assume that I will create a vegetarian, podcast or a vegetarian Instagram account. I do not assume that, and I don't believe that I will. But watching those people, and especially that some of my friends are also vegetarian, and they also been brought by someone, right? It's not like I am born and I'm like, okay, so from now on, no, I never heard of it, and from now on, I'm not eating any food. This is super rare, I would say. And sometimes the timing in replying in messages is also very helpful. If someone is not very responsive, you have this first yellow flag. It's not a red flag, but it's like a yellow flag. Okay, this person is not into it that much. It may cause some challenges in the future.
Yeah, I mean, best case, it means that they're less responsive than someone else. So when you're trying to get something done, then of course, that makes a lot of sense. So we have the data-driven side, which is stage 1. Then we have human moderation. You had a note in your list about follower growth and that kind of thing.
I would like to use an example and tell a short story. So let's
Okay.
say that there is an influencer and let's call her Amy. So we got influencer Amy. And recently she participated in a local TV show. So right now she is like super popular. And she got a massive increase of followers every single month for, let's say, last 6 months. And there's something that I call popularity rate. And this popularity rate, and actually you can find the same rate at Modash, which is called growth rate. This indicator, growth popularity rate, it describes the new followers acquisition of this particular influencer. So let's say that we got an Amy, and she got this massive growth. And I'm looking at the statistics, and because I want to select the proper influencer. Every single marketer is asking him, influencer marketer is asking him or herself, with whom to collaborate, who is the best, who will be the best performing influencer. And some of the people will answer the people who are right now popular. I want to conduct a campaign with the person who is right now popular. So I'm looking at this growth rate, and I can see, okay, so she got like a massive followers growth. This is the time to collaborate with this Amy. Amy, I want you in my campaign. And here we are thinking about the data-driven influencer selection. Okay, she got it. I'm looking for people with a high growth rate. And Amy got high growth rate. And now we are moving to the campaign objectives because, okay, let's say that we are making a campaign with Amy and she's posting one Instagram story about our product or service during, I don't know, what she's posting right now. Imagine what is going on her Instagram. First of all, probably if she's popular right now, she's posting a lot of stuff at the moment. So this one piece of the content is between thousands of other pieces of content. This is the first one. Secondly, what are doing the new followers on her account? Like this is a social behavior. As a new follower, I am not believing this influencer yet. I am just starting to build the trust in this creator. So I will check the feed. I will watch Amy's Instagram stories, but most probable I will not be convinced to buy anything because I just met her. And right now we are coming to the marketing campaign, influencer marketing campaign objectives. Because from one side, we can establish different marketing objectives. If our marketing objective was to do the campaign with a massive reach, with a very high viewability rate, we can go home and we're super happy. We can lay down, open a beer, whatever, because the campaign was successful. Amy posted our content. She got such a huge reach because she is super popular. Those new people who are starting to follow her, they're watching her stories. Viewability rate is great. The reach is great. Fantastic. But I'm looking at my conversion rate at the moment and I'm like, and the click-through rate, I'm looking at the links and it's like almost zero. What? Why? Amy is so popular right now. Well, if we took a conversion rate as a marketing objective, I would assume, but this is just a rough assumption, obviously every case is different, but I would assume that this conversion rate, it would be smaller than in the situation if Amy wouldn't be popular right now. Because those new followers are not super into this new vacuum cleaner. They want to know this influencer a little bit better.
They're not ready yet.
Yeah, they're not ready yet. But this is a perfect opportunity to introduce the product to the new group of people. So what I'm thinking, this is just the beginning of the story of Amy. So Amy, I want to collaborate with you further. I want you to take my products, to show them a little bit, a few more times. I want you to describe your feelings. How do you feel after using this product? What are your personal what are your personal feelings basically about this product or service? And I want to use this opportunity to teach influencer about the product and in parallel to teach all the followers, but also the new followers about this product. New followers are opportunity for you to teach them through the influencer about your product. So this is a perfect opportunity.
I feel like for the last 10 years, the evolution in marketing has been try to meet your customer where they are, be in their context, and don't be interruptive, and all these lessons that we try to teach the world over the last 10 years. And then when it comes to influencers, we kind of forget this lesson. And what you're saying is you have to think of where the audience actually is. Sure, you have somebody who's super famous, but why? What is it that the people actually want to hear from them? There's certain people that I go to if I want to buy like a cool new monitor for when I travel with my laptop. I go to a certain channel and I look to see if they've reviewed any of those types of devices. But it's not that I'm just clicking on Joe Schmo. Like, no one comes to me for laptop monitor advice because I'm just not smart enough for this. But I go to somebody else for that advice, and that's because I know, I like, and I trust them already.
Yeah, you trust them already. You're not a new follower right now, right?
Exactly.
So if we're thinking about the campaign objectives, we could say that Amy meet our campaign objectives just like that with one piece of content, or she didn't. And we need to figure out how to increase this conversion rate. What to do to make this conversion rate much better. Based on the data, we figure out that influencer need to submit 4 pieces of content a month to increase the performance. Obviously, there are a lot of details and a lot of thinking behind it, and I will explain it in a moment. But let's take those 4 times. So we should try to convince Amy to collaborate with us for a much longer period. And actually, we should do that before the first post. We should plan all of the posts. We should plan the story and go with influencer hand by hand. So if we convinced Amy to collaborate with us for, let's say, 6 months, okay, even 3 months, 3 months are enough. For 3 months, we're able to submit a lot of content with Amy. Let's say 12 pieces of content. So what we are doing right now, we are collecting this content, and we are collecting as much data as possible from this content. And right now I'm going back to this enthusiasm, because there are different type of the data that you can collect. Some of the data is number of views, the demographical data, and so on and so forth. To me, it's not enough. Every single influencer is different. We're completely different people. In Poland, we got this saying that it's very rude that everyone is everyone is replaceable, you know, in the meaning that you can replace anyone at work. I hate this phrase. Really, whenever I hear that, I am like, no one is replaceable. The position is replaceable, but not the people. And influencers are, every single influencer is different. We should not expect the same outcome, even if their data behind the influencer is similar, because everyone is different. So what we're doing, we're collecting not only data about this data that we can collect from metadata, we're also collecting the data based on our perception of the content. So we are watching this content. If the influencer was enthusiastic during the content, 1, no, 5, super, from 1 to 5. Did influencer show the product during the content? Yes, no. Did influencer mention the name of the brand? Yes, no, and so on and so on. And we got this massive table with our subjective opinion about the content. And so this is this massive human part. So we can have 2 very similar influencers, but one will be super joyful and super enthusiastic, super cool, funny, and the best. And the second, very similar, will be quiet, not super convinced. I don't know. I don't know. So, although the influencers from the data point of view looks very similar, they're completely different. So we need this another human factor. That's why, and this is the second part. So we got, during the influencer selection, we got data behind the influencer and the human moderation. During the campaign objective, we need to decide the campaign objective, but we need to be able to set up KPI goals, but also to talk to this influencer to make sure that this type of collaboration is the best. Ad hoc collaboration or long-term collaboration. Then we collect this data from the content that have been already published. This is one side. And then we collect data from the Google Analytics or your e-commerce site, and we're comparing those data. And this is the best thing you can do. So based on those data, you're looking at this and, okay, so we got a product A and 0 increment on our landing page. This is not the best situation, but we got product B and we got 100 more unique users after this content. We got product C and we got 50 new users, but we got 5 sales. So you need to compare all of the data. And after that, you need to prepare a new journey for this influencer. Based on the data, you're creating a new content plan for this creator. And again, the person who is managing this influencer, this creator, need to have this analytical approach to be able to understand those data and creative, because every single person, every single creator is different. So you need to be able to create different ideas for different ambassadors. Obviously, you can create some templates, some models, but you can have 4 different influencers paths, right? Mind products, gut products, and beauty products, whatever. You can have different paths, but still you need to adjust it a bit to make it a little bit more adjusted to this particular influencer. So again, we got data and human moderation.
If I boil all of this down into one sentence or two, is that in influencer partnerships, there's tons of variables because the audience is there for a different reason. The piece of content tells a different story. The influencer has a different level of influence over the audience. The influencer has a different level of enthusiasm about the product. And so if you don't measure at least some of those things consistently over time, you can't optimize in order to improve the outcome.
Yeah.
So if you're this is one thing that this is why I've been so annoyed by people who are just posting selfies and calling this creator partnerships. You just take a selfie with a product in your hand and then why didn't it work? And it's well, even if you did that, but you did it every day for a year, at least you could learn what's happening if you looked at the data and saw what's happening. And so the beauty of long-term relationships is the ability to optimize those things over time.
I guarantee you that if we would take Amy and ask her to submit every single day the same photo of the same product, on Sunday she will have the highest performance, and this is at least you will get out of this data, and this is massive. Yeah. And after that you can decide, okay, let's cut from Monday to Saturday, let's leave Sundays only. And so she got 7 times less work. And then advise her a little bit on the content. And suddenly, every Sunday, you got growth on sales. So the data is the king. Obviously, the cash is the king, but the data is also the king.
The data brings the cash.
Yeah, exactly. As a brand owner or marketing director, you want to have a really nice influencer specialist in your team. The person who can combine, don't need to be a deep analysis, but person who is not afraid of math, but also got well-developed social skills. Because during the influencer selection, you need to use data to select, to be able to reach your audience, and you need to be able to convince this person to work on the long-term collaboration. Second, you got marketing objectives, and you need to understand those objectives. You need to set it in a very smart way. And also you need to use your soft skills, your interpersonal skills to manage the campaign. And at the end, you need to collect a bunch of data to analyze it and to advise the influencer what will be the most beneficial during the collaboration.
Salesmanship, so that personability to just talk to anybody and, like you said, get along with anybody and negotiate and all that stuff. And then just pattern recognition, just the ability to look at a bunch of content and answer the question why does this stuff work better than that stuff? What's the difference? Or at least take a good guess at it. It's this is the deal. So Very cool. Should we go to campaign objectives or data-driven influencer optimization?
Well, actually, I don't want to go into this campaign objectives. The only thing I wanted to say about this campaign objectives is that taking this Amy example, which is right now very popular. With this aim, you will have this massive reach and this massive viewability rate, but your click-through rate and your conversion rate will be, most probably will be very, very low. And probably it will be lower than in the other scenarios. So if your focus was to create a high conversion campaign, this is not the way. This is not the way. The single content during the campaign posted by one influencer is not the way to create a high conversion rate campaigns. Maybe you did it and maybe it was great, but I can tell you that was, you were lucky, basically.
Lucky.
But there is one way. We used Modash in a very advanced way, actually. So last year, I had a great project. So I decided that I will work with influencers on a one-time deals, which is completely different from my day-to-day approach, right? I love to create those long-term cooperations, to convince, to make the strong believers and to collaborate with them as a partners, not as a employees, you know.
Yeah.
But last year I decided I will do one campaign like this, and I used Modash in a way that I was super proud of myself. So I took one huge influencer, a few big influencers, several medium-sized influencers, and a lot of small influencers. And what I did, I checked the audience overlap between the influencers. And what you would usually like to do is to make this overlap as small as possible, usually, because you're thinking, I want to reach a lot of people, right? I want to have this 1 million, 5 million, 10 millions of reach, and I want everyone to hear about my product. And my thought was completely different. No, I want this overlap to be almost 100%. And I want to make, to create an impression from the followers' point of view. Okay, everyone got health lab scare right now. Okay, I'm seeing health lab scare on
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and we're not everywhere. We just took like a few.
Just the 3 people that you follow.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
that's awesome.
And this overlap. This is also using data in influencer marketing. So basically, nowadays we got this is. Actually, I never heard this statement before, data-driven influencer marketing. And as I'm looking at it right now, it's like, this is reality. This is 2023. We're using data-driven influencer marketing because we're using data for the selection. We're using data to campaign objectives. We're using data to analyze the content and to make this content more efficient. Analyzing the data after a couple of pieces of content, publishing pieces of content, you can assume something. So it is very good to collect this data and to optimize and to optimize and to optimize and to make the best campaigns. During the last 2 years, we changed so many things because of the data, and without budget increase, we increased income massively. And I'm talking about millions of euros yearly, only based on data optimization in influencer marketing field, only in this field, you know.
It's awesome. And I can tell you what the opposite is, because I talk to people who are in the opposite scenario and they're too afraid to look at the content and try to understand, or they're frustrated. They're kind of entitled by the fact, like, it's the creator's job to perform. I'm just supposed to pay them. They just go perform, and then I get lots of customers. And this is the sad thing about talking to folks who are still kind of maybe in that mindset, is that they're really like frustrated and scared, and they're worried that they're not performing, and they're scared that their manager's going to notice that they're not delivering ROI, and the internal team is like upset, and they have this kind of toxic relationship with the influencers in the opposite way that you described. And then there's your case where it's like, yeah, we work with the data, we get the thing to be performant, we invest in creators in unique ways, like they have a dietitian they can call to better understand the product, and the output is like the smile on your face when you talk talk about going to the garden party with all the ambassadors and how they get to mingle. And it's so interesting to see that, like, when you get the program actually working properly, I hope that somebody out there listening to this realizes that this is your pathway to go from frustrated marketing person who just wishes something would work to garden parties and good times. So very cool. Where should we go from here? What do you think?
Maybe one last advice. To me, influencer marketing is a challenging type of marketing because if looking at the past, we got a lot of data about the newspapers, the TV, the radio, internet. In digital marketing, we got so many information, such a huge knowledge. And influencer marketing is developing, and I believe
super early
that we are at the very beginning of this whole influence. Like, okay, celebrities in 80s, yeah, I know, celebrity endorsement, it's not the same anymore. And actually, we're in the very interesting times when influencer marketing is growing massively, and right now we don't know how to eat this dish, how to eat this this cutlet,
elephant.
How to eat this elephant exactly, and we're a little bit afraid. And don't be afraid, and use data. And if you believe in influencer marketing, but after one collaboration you're not happy with the outcome, think, what can you do to make it better? And don't be upset and don't be stressed out. Just
don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Just think, what can you do better using data to make this collaboration even better. Sometimes, whenever I got collaboration which is not going as good as I assumed it would, I am trying to collaborate, to support, to invest a little bit more in this influencer. And obviously, if nothing is going well, we will finalize the goal. Yeah, it's not working anymore, so that's okay. But usually, we're making this influencer beneficial. And also, what I can recommend at the very, very end is that obviously cash is the king, and you're able to pay influencers as much as they want. But there are some other things that they care of, and just remember that those are not robots that are just sending the message. Those are real people. Every creator is important, and you need to remember that the content and the conversation need to be adjusted to both creator and the audience of this creator, and the respect and treating everyone around you, obviously, in a good professional way is something that will benefit you for sure. So yeah.
And it's way more fun.
And more comfortable. And after that, whenever if you make the creator to like you, you're able to push this person to prepare a little bit content. Usually it works like that.
We've talked to already now just on this show, which is a brand new podcast with mostly just me pinging friends of mine, or I hope we're friends. We've had you, like e-com side. We've had Kilo Health, the app company. We've had Tour Lane, the travel experiences company. We've had a guy who's just like an agency kind of model, Jason. And the thing is that if the fundamentals are there in the business, and if you treat the creator partnerships function, starting with the fundamentals, am I reaching my target audience, running long-term relationships, optimizing over time, the channel can work. Your business, if you're selling to consumers a consumer product, I haven't seen somebody who came to me and gave me a convincing argument, this can't work for me. I hear it a lot, but I've never been convinced. It's like, oh, it can't work because we're an app company, or oh, it can't work because we're e-commerce, or it can't work because we're retail. There's a way to get it to work, and it is a commitment. And I don't think everybody is ready to implement the channel. But once you decide that you are ready, then just commit to investing a little bit of time and some real resources to getting it to work at least once, so you can feel what it feels like for it to work. And Yeah, I just totally believe in that message that it doesn't always work the first try, but I think it can work for almost any consumer business once you reach some level of maturity, once you get some revenue, some customers, and so on.
I see one challenge that in what you said right now is that one challenge by looking at the influencers specialists as a group. So a lot of people grew up with those social media platforms and they got fantastic knowledge about the algorithm. Even if they don't know the algorithm, they feel the algorithm. They see and they know it. I think I get some issues in this area because I'm looking. I can hear that the programists are very important right now. They're doing such a massive business. I think that nowadays in 2023, the influencer specialist position is also pretty unique. Because if you want to have someone that combines those two areas of good personal skills and this mathematical approach, it's not that easy to find those people, you know? I spent a lot of time on the hiring processes, and most of the candidates were brilliant, but I was lacking this analytical approach sometimes, you know. So be open-minded for data, especially if you feel that you're not happy with your math level. Be happy to ask someone from the company even to support you with the influencer insights and the data behind the content. It will be beneficial for you and for your boss as well.
In my experience too, like we talk to, you know, hundreds of marketers. Lots of them are just getting started with the channel the first time, and from my perspective, a lot of it is just fear too. It's not so much that you're like you're even somebody like me. I'm terrible at math. Like I barely passed math in school even. But with influencer partnerships, it's rather fundamental. You just need to be capable of tracking some of the metrics enough to start identifying patterns and recognize and trying to make estimations of why things are happening. And it's a rather finite. In hardcore data science, you don't always know what you're looking for, but at least in influencer marketing, you know that you're looking for conversions or reach or whatever. And so you just want to reverse engineer, like, why is this influencer working? Why is this content working? I think you ended on a really positive note. And thanks so much, Alex. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed, man.
Thank you so much. Once again, congrats on the podcast idea. I am super happy that we could talk a little bit, and I would be happy to join you maybe in the future as well.
Let's do it. Yeah, I've been thinking about trying some different formats, maybe getting some, like, trying to find a way to have more than one person in the show and kind of have a more open discussion, maybe do some case studies. But thank you everybody for listening, and subscribe, click the share button, do something, click some buttons over there, will you? Thanks.